Okay, I like to show you here, if I change the data, how the output changes. Now, I'm going to copy and paste this data so we can compare the output with another data. So I highlight it, so copy and paste. Let's paste it here. Copy and paste. I paste the data here. Now I'm going to run the program after I change the data. So let's put different numbers here. So 60, 56, 57, 62, 63, 59, 55, and 60. For Avis, 55, 52, 54, 56, 55, 57, 58, and 50. And National, 43, 45, 47, 40, 45, 42, 46, and 45. Now you see, on purpose, I put the highest number to Hertz and the lowest number for National, and between this I use numbers for Avis. So most of the Avis rental car cost numbers are close to 55, and for Hertz close to 60, and for National close to 45. So if I run the program, you'll see the between group sum of squares or between group variance would be much higher, because there is big difference between the groups, and then within the groups there is not too much difference, all close to, for instance, for Hertz all close to 60, for Avis all close to 55, and National all close to 45. That means the standard deviation within the groups are not as high as before, but the difference between the groups will be pretty high. Okay, now let's run the program. So I go to data, data analysis, single factor ANOVA. So I need to highlight the data here. This is our data. Highlight the data, and the output, I'm going to put, instead of I11, I put H11 this time, H11, and then hit OK. Now as you can see here, between group variance, if you compare the previous one, between group variance, there was at least 2 times more this time when I run. If you look at sum of squares, that was 469, now 935, and then within group sum of squares was 776, now 140. That tells me, and then obviously the F, the test value of F is 6975, that was only 6.3 before. That tells me now the big difference comes between the groups, and then very small variability within the groups. So that is much strong in order to say, yes, the difference comes from different companies. Now let me delete this. I want to show you something else. So I'm going to delete this, delete the output, and then clear this area. Now what I will do right now, for Hertz, I just put all 60 for each date, so there is no variability, all 60s. For Avis, I would put 55 for each day, 55, and then for this one I put 45. You can see this case, there is no variation within the group. The companies rental car cost or the company's rental car price never changed. So all the difference will come between the groups. So you'll see the within group variance will be 0, and between group variance will be very high number. So I'm going to run the program again. Data analysis, single factor ANOVA. So the same data and the same output. So I'm going to click OK. Now we can see the between group variance or sum of squares are very high, but within group is only 0. The reason because there is no variation within the group. I like to show one more example for this. So you can see the F value is 65,535. It is pretty high if you compare with 6.33, because all the difference now comes from the different companies. So within the company there is no variation. I'm going to delete this output again, and now this time I'm going to put different values for each company, like 75, 60, 45, 55, 78, 45, 50, and let's leave it 60. For Avis, let's use 55, 45, 65, 70, 72, 55, 65, and 58. For National, let's put 70, 45, 40, let's use 55, 65, 60, 55, and let's leave it 45. Now you can see within the group I purposely put different numbers, so I just try to increase the standard deviation within the group right now, so we can see now within the group sum of squares and variance would be higher. Let's try this now. Let's do the analysis for this. Data analysis, single factor ANOVA, the same data set and the same output range. So I'm just going to click OK. Now you see right now the F test value 0.69, critical value 3.46. This time we cannot say there is a significant difference between the companies, but most of the variation comes from within the group. So there is a variability on the data. There is lots of different numbers in the data, but the difference is not because of the different group, but because of within the group. So within the days, like different days for each company, they have different numbers, not because of the different company, but the most important reason is there is a big variability depending on different dates.